very innovative business center with a lot of cool companies.
The lifestyle and where you live kind of shapes your workforce a little bit. We need a lot of engineers, a lot of technical folks, but what I find interesting is with our workforce, they're also drawn to the lifestyle that Louisville in this area of Colorado provides. A combination of those things seem to attract some of the best and brightest in the country.
What's important for Louisville's future economy is to remain diversified in our industries and also be sustainable in our revenue sources. We want to make sure that what we do today sets us up for future success.
Louisville supports business. They support, encourage, and you can sense that.
It's a really easy place to do business.
I always tell people it's great to be the mayor of Louisville because it's a town where you can
Recording in progress.
All right, good evening. This is the Historic Preservation Commission, and today is Monday, May 19th, 2025, and we'll do a roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Keller.
Here.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
Here.
Commissioner Wilt. Talbot, can you hear us? We'll come back. And then Commissioner Berg.
Here.
Commissioner Haley. Did I get everybody?
You didn't get me. I'm here.
Commissioner Haley?
Thank
Sorry.
you.
You've got the second string here.
I know.
Running
That's
everything.
great. We're glad to have anybody. And we have one commissioner online, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully-
Talbot, can you hear us? Can we just test and see if you can hear us? How about now, Talbot? Can you hear us? I think I had that on mute, which may have stopped. So I think we're okay, though, because we have a quorum without him, if he
Right,
can join
okay.
us. So Talbot, we don't have any audio with you, so if you can let us know if you can hear us. But we're going to proceed with the hearing because we have 4 commissioners, which is a quorum.
Okay. All right, we have our agenda this evening. If there's any changes or additions, otherwise we can have a motion to approve.
Do we need to mention the Pine Street project on the agenda?
Oh, I guess do we need to note that here in the change?
Yeah, we could just
Okay.
note that here. Yeah, so I'll just note for the record that that staff spoke with the applicant and they have asked to table the application. If they come back, we'll do a whole nother round of public notice, but it's tabled for now to work through some issues, and they may go to city council before coming to planning commission or take a different path, so we need to just meet with them and figure out what they would like to do for the next steps.
Okay, and that was for 1155 Pine Street.
1155 Pine, yeah.
All right. All right, so that was a change. Any other changes?
No. So otherwise, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then any public comments that are not on our agenda tonight? Looks like Talbot's, can you hear us now? He's like making, we can see him.
So Talbot, it looks like you're off mute and we can see you. Can you hear us?
Just seems like if he can't participate, he might as well not have to sit here. But
Yeah, I'm not sure what the setting is.
okay,
so I
that's
think we're
fine.
okay.
I just saw him moving around. All right, so our first, our now first public hearing will be for 425 Grant, which is a demolition review, and we will have a staff report. Good evening, Commissioners. This is Emily Klein Gibson, Planner 2, with the staff presentation. This is a demolition review application request for the property at 425 Grant Avenue. This property is located on the southern side of Hutchinson Street to the east of Louisville Elementary School. This slide shows conditions of the property over time. No Boulder County Assessor's card could be located for this property, even after multiple different possible historic addresses were used in the search. And no other historic imagery of the building could be located either, so the best photo of the property we have is the 1962 aerial that is shown to the left. The historic building has an uncertain date of construction, estimated sometime between 1900 and 1920, but it's unclear to what extent the current building is similar to the historic building due to the lack of photographic evidence. The property includes the primary building and 3 accessory structures in the back. To analyze this building against our landmark criteria, the age of the building is about 100 to 125 years old, and the property was historically used for agriculture. The physical integrity of the building remains unclear due to the lack of information we have, but building permit records indicate the roof and siding are not original, and a cultural resource survey completed in 2000 believes that there are front and rear additions to the building. Staff analyzed the proposal against all of our demolition review criteria and found that the age and social significance of the property does not constitute a strong enough case for landmark eligibility. The subject property is also not located in a geographical significant area that could make it a contributing structure in a historic district, due to it being part of a 1980s subdivision, and it's located outside of our Old Town Overlay District. No documentation is readily available regarding the condition of the building, and since restoration work is not planned for this property, a cost estimate for repairs is also not readily available. The subject property was not featured in the 2018 Paleo West Stories and Places Residential Historic Context Report, nor was it featured as one of the 100 architectural inventories of Louisville completed by Paleo West in 2023. A Colorado Cultural Resource Survey conducted in 2000 listed the property as eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. However, the more recent reports that provide a more thorough explanation of, or examination of specifically in Louisville structures have not produced the same recommendation, likely due to, again, its location and inclusion in a non-historic 1980s subdivision, as well as the general unknown architectural historical form. So with all of this, staff recommends release of the demolition review request. Staff believes releasing the demolition request is appropriate because the architectural integrity of the building remains unknown. Additionally, the building's location is not in a historically significant area. The applicant has been informed about preservation options and is proposing to pursue a plan that does not include restoration. Staff acknowledges the social significance of local agriculture, but does not find that the social significance alone merit a stay of demolition when weighed against all of these other considerations. And this concludes the staff presentation. I don't believe the applicant's here tonight, but I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
You didn't, I guess, find out why there were no photographs presented or?
No, it's unclear really, the lack of assessor card or photographic images of this property. And the Louisville Historical Museum also did a pretty thorough research and couldn't find much.
Any other questions for staff?
No.
All right, thank you. And then we'll take any comments from the public on this property. And if you would like to say something, just state your name and city of residence, just for the record. And you can come to the mic. I'm sorry, it's kind of official. We have to have recordings for the public record. So just your name and city of residence, please.
David Moore, Louisville. Live in the property immediately behind what we always refer to as George Lezouk's house. When we purchased the property in 1998, we asked our realtor to confirm with the city that at that time it was designated as unsubdividable for the zoning that was in place as of 1998. This is obviously a preliminary for something, but it obviously doesn't include any details whatsoever about what's coming or what's going to be requested. And curious if there have been any other indicators from the developer as to what's in store.
Any other public comments? All right. And I think without the applicant, we don't really have a lot of information, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Yeah, typically we have significant photographic documentation, floor plans, which is always helpful. I would like to see a little bit more documentation before releasing demolition.
So I'm going to pause. Is there any more public comment? And then we'll bring it back for discussion. Okay.
Sorry.
There's
No,
no
you're
one,
good.
there's
I'm
no
just
one
making sure.
online either.
There's no one online?
Online.
Okay. So just your
My
name
name's
and
Kristen
city.
Vanderlaan. I live in Louisville. I live with Dave Moore, my husband. And so I'm just, because this is a new process to us, I'm trying to understand what the next step is. I guess that's, so if you guys approve this, do they just start in on demolition, or is there another phase to that?
Right. So our process, we have a voluntary program, and so anyone can request a demolition, and the only thing we can do is put a 180-day stay on it, at which point we can try to convince them to keep the property, landmark the property, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's up to them if they keep it or not. And as far as like subdividing and all that, that's planning.
That's
So
not
that's
under
complete.
your-
That would be the next step
Right, so
after
your
us.
guys is only to determine whether this is historic or not?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So the only thing we can do is do that 180-day stay on the property. Yeah, with hopes that.
Hi, Carrie Flecknoe, Louisville. Has there been an assessment of the contents of the property in terms of hazardous materials, presence of asbestos, things that would be released into the air, atmosphere, soil, et cetera?
And that's all questions that the applicant would have to answer for us. So unfortunately, they're not here, so we don't know.
If, without that answer, is there a stay of demolition, or you can approve it without those answers?
We can approve the 180-day stay. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Without, I mean, we could choose to or not to do the stay.
I see.
Regardless of most likely, a home that old probably has something, like whether it's lead or asbestos, but it'd have to be like it'd have to go through all the proper mitigation before anything could happen. But we don't know any of that until
Okay.
the applicant can tell us. Yeah.
I have little kids that live nearby, and I just want to know, do we need to have our windows closed, and, you know, what's going to be?
Right. And they would have to go through all the EPA mitigations and everything. So, yeah.
Whatever happens with the house and the property, any release of that land.
Okay.
I would just like to add on the application submitted to us, it says, the structure and overall condition of the house has been deemed unsafe for habitation or renovation. Environmental hazards, including the presence of lead-based materials and asbestos, have also been identified on the premises, although we have not received the formal documentation of those presences.
Understood. Okay.
But that's just about every house in downtown Louisville. So
I
that's
understand.
not alarming, but probably more, maybe, I mean, yeah, but they would have to do it the right way, just like any other house in the city or state. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
James Sunshine, Louisville. I live on Mead Court, so right adjacent to that lot. Fairly new resident, about 2 years now. I would say this property, since we moved there, I have not seen any signs that anybody uses it. The entire area is just filled with weeds. It is a decrepit building. I think anything that prevents getting this demolished and something else placed there would be an improvement. So I would ask that the council approve the demolition.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? All right, we'll bring it back for discussion with the commission.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we generally see much more documentation for demolition, just to make sure that there is no historic value to the home. Sounds like there's not much socially that's been found with the museum. And it sounds like the property has been abandoned for a couple years. So I suspect the house is in pretty poor condition, but personally, I would still like to see a bit more documentation before releasing demolition. Not necessarily the 180 days, but at least 30 days to give the applicant time to come back with some photographs that we could have a record of the property if we do release it.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was. Emily, just to clarify, has the applicant spoken to you about the HSA process and been made aware of the different grants and loans available through the program?
Yes, the applicant is well aware of our grants and loans landmark process. And then I just wanted to also note under the attachment and links section in the staff report, there is a link to interior photos of the property provided by the applicant.
I'm sorry, I didn't see those photos. Did you guys look at them?
I didn't see that.
Okay.
Would it be possible to pull those up? Do you have access to those? Sorry. Yeah, no problem.
Just
We'll
one
keep
moment.
talking. Did you get to see him, Keith?
No.
Okay.
So while Emily does that, it meets a couple, it does meet some of our requirements, potentially for landmarking, including age. I think there were, actually potentially is social history. This is a really unique property in that it was not only residential, but agricultural and had a working mine on it. I think it had one family that owned it pretty much for its entirety. So I think they're, given the other social history we've seen for residences, I think for me, the biggest thing is it's hard to tell the condition of the home. Siding work can be replaced. The front porch, potentially what's under that porch addition, it looks like. But as we've also noted, the homeowner not only isn't here, but hasn't lived on the property for some time. And the property's been for sale, so that's the homeowner's intent. It's zoned commercial, I believe.
Or is it?
Most likely zoned commercial. Or I'm sorry, residential. Sorry, so it's zoned, sorry. So it's not commercial. So it's zoned residential, so you can imagine, and when we make our decisions, it's not based on what will happen to the property because that's beyond our scope. But that's, what it is zoned for. So, all factors to consider.
I would love to see an HSA done, historic structural analysis, where a professional goes in and documents the floor plans, takes thorough photographs, just does a thorough assessment, and then at the very least, we have something of record if we do release it for demolition.
So I think there's about 40 photos. I'll just run through them, and you can let me know if you want me to stop on any particular. That's the last one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Of course.
I think what's hard is we don't have records, but at the same time, like the agricultural and mining combination on this property, I just think is really interesting, unique, especially for like our downtown area. So it makes me leery just to forego the record. It's a very unique property, like that much land in the middle of town, and so I think that's my biggest hang up is just I think it represents a pretty significant part of our history, but
Yeah.
and especially just not having communication is just hard to just let it go for unknown reasons. So, so yes, I think I'd be leaning more towards putting a stay on it and just having a further conversation. And if there is a development happening, I think there could be a really creative way. The way the house sits on the property still allows for a lot of whatever they want to do and just kind of being creative with incorporating it. So I just think there's more opportunity than just using the land is my opinion on this one. So I think the age, we would say it's definitely old enough, and we don't have, that's a problem, we don't have architectural photos to show that it has the integrity, but at the same time, there's a lot of hints that it probably has a strong architectural integrity. So, and the social, I don't know. So, and you're saying maybe not do the whole stay.
Yeah, I would be open to simply a 30-day stay, just give them, the applicant, time enough to provide better photography of the exterior, encourage them to look into the HSA, which we would fund, to just go in and document the floor plans, have elevations drawn, just so we have a good record of the home. And if it gets released for demolition, we do have a record at that point.
I don't know that 30, when did this application start? Because it might be kind of, that'd be too short of time.
Early April, I believe April 7th.
I think a 90-day stay might be more in order. We're essentially, we're
more
past
time.
30. And that would give the applicant time to continue to speak with staff, speak with commissioners if they wanted. If we could speak with them if they were open to it, to see if we can, at a minimum, encourage them to do an HSA. And as Linda said, we have seen in the city creative use of land. It's a large property, and things could be done to retain the house. And I agree that there's likely some hidden architecture there that's probably stable enough to be reinforced. We could probably find models of farm, kind of the wood farmhouses from the era to see what the front looked like. More so, and the side looks pretty intact. The side view, the north-facing view. So it's really the east-facing side we want to know more about primarily.
90 days would be appropriate, because I don't know that many of the people in Louisville are aware that this house is asking to be torn down right now. I know the sign went up however many days ago. I did see the sign go up over there stating the process, the request for demolition. But because that home does have significance to a lot of people in our community, I think it would be great to give people time to possibly talk to the developers about if they don't want to preserve it and use it within their development rights, that getting creative like we have with some other properties in town, pick it up and move it to another property somewhere where the house could be preserved for its historical significance, whether it's a huge significance or not. I know a lot of community members are really interested in saving as much as we can, and the developer may be amendable to having it moved if they don't want to use it in whatever they're going to seek approval to develop in that property. So I think a minimum of 90 days stay is appropriate. I don't know that the developers have a big urgency in their process, since nothing appears to be started at all with the development side. So I think even 180 days could still be appropriate, but I would be open to a minimum of 90, and anything beyond that up to the full 180 days stay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did we have another question maybe from the audience?
This will be public comment again.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it's fine. Just state your name and city.
Hi, I'm Susan Solomon, and I live in Louisville. I just wondered, what the option, so it sounds like the options are to, if it gets the historic preservation status, then some part of the house would be maintained, or just mentioned moving it to another spot. If it's demolished, is it, is there any preservation of the story of the property that goes into the museum, or is it just become, what happens? Is that?
Right, and that's kind of, we have a historic structural analysis that the city will pay for. That's one way that if we don't have records, that's what he was talking about, yeah. And so it goes in and takes all the photos, and we have as much history as the museum can pull at this point.
Okay.
But that's kind of why the stay would be helpful, is it would give us a chance to get that just so for our own records here going forward. Yeah, that's a good question. But that's one of the reasons that the city started paying for those. Like we, whether a house is landmarked or not, is for our own record, just so that we know exactly what homes were here.
That's, to me, that's what the story of the mine and the agriculture and the farm, we know that's likely going away.
Right.
Because I live on Lincoln Court as well. But the story behind it and kind of, Louisville and the mining town, that's where it came from, so.
Right.
Add that.
David Moore, Louisville. So we're probably the longest-term resident in Lincoln Court currently, or at least in attendance tonight. And again, we did some of our homework when we purchased the home in 1998. At that time, that was described as the farmhouse for 120 acres of South Louisville that was just sold off parcel by parcel to developers, and that's what was left. And at one point, rather, it was discussed that George wanted to keep that because it was a memory of the former farm, et cetera.
No, that's good information.
It's special.
Yeah. And the other thing is this, if we do the 180 stay, they could give the museum more time to get some more oral history or do some more digging or that kind of thing too. So there could be a lot of benefit in a longer stay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to the 180 day, but.
Sure. I'm all for it.
Do you have any thoughts on this one, or?
No, I agree with you. I think a stay would be helpful to get more records. Whether or not it's going to convince the homeowner, I don't know, but.
All right.
Yeah, it sounds like the applicant, developer has something in mind, and it's probably not reasonable to think that we're going to change it at this point. But everything we can do to get a little bit more information on the property, on the house, would be great.
All right. And it's happened before, so it could happen again.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone like to make a motion on this one, or do we have more discussion?
I'll make a motion to put a 180-day stay on 425 Grant.
Second that motion.
And we'll do a roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Keller,
Yes.
Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Beauchamp,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilt,
Yes.
Chair Haley.
Yes. So the next steps is staff will kind of be in contact with the actual applicant. We could form a subcommittee to meet up with them and just try to kind of talk. Would you like to be a part of that subcommittee? Do you have
Sure.
in the next? And do anyone else like to? I can do that with you.
Okay.
So, just as a way of talking and brainstorming some ideas, getting more information. Yeah, and then anything that you as community members find out or can spread the word for people. I mean, that's what this is all about. So definitely use your voice. So thank you. Thank you for coming out. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and then our next item is a work plan and subcommittees update.
So here's the 2025 work plan. The goal is to keep this updated as much as possible at each month's meeting. The dark gray means the task has been completed. Thank you all for attending the landmark ceremony last week. And the blue represents the new text that was added to the plan from last month's discussion. Hopefully this is large enough. If not, I could try to zoom in. But we can just go down the line, and if there's any subcommittee updates, now's the time to provide it to the commission. So I'll just start with the grant program update. There is no update at this time. So next
And then,
we
yeah,
have,
there's not an update for the next two ones either.
okay. Is there an update for brochure flyer?
Unfortunately not.
Okay. And then last one is any in-person events?
So we can provide some updates. So Talbot and I are working on outreach via informational booths at gatherings, and we have 3 scheduled, 2 for this second quarter. Our first booth will be at the Taste of Louisville on June 7th, that Saturday morning. There'll be a couple other tables there for different, city tables. And Talbot will be at that table, and I think Linda as well. We'll then be at since we last spoke, Emily, we now will be at the Louisville Farmers Market on Saturday, June 14th, and then again August 23rd. So right now we have all of that confirmed, and we're working with staff to just gather the materials that we have. We had a quick meeting. Talbot's been in communication with staff, and I had a quick meeting with Emily to kind of work on getting those materials together. So we should be all set to go at the Taste of Louisville one, and we'll use that as our test one and keep refining it from there. And then we can certainly, everybody can think about if we'd like to do more outreach than that. That will take us through third quarter. Fourth quarter is tricky. It's a little colder to do informational booths outside, but we could try to do another one quarter 3. Emily reminded me that there's the History Museum sponsors the annual baseball game, and that's kind of related to what we do, so it might be a nice opportunity. And then Talbot and I are also exploring some other opportunities.
Great, thank you. So if there's no other updates, that's all we have for the work plan this month.
All right. Any other updates from staff?
Yes, so there was one alteration certificate that got released and approved by the subcommittee. It was for 801 Grant Avenue, just to add an electrical box to the side of the building. No demolition reviews, and the next regular Historic Preservation Commission meeting will be Monday, June 16th at 6:30.
Wanted to add one thing as well. We've found a candidate for our vacant position who would be the liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission. So the new staff member is scheduled to start on June 16th, which is the day of your next meeting. So I don't know if she'll actually come to that meeting, but definitely July. I'm sure you'll be meeting the new staff member.
That's great. That's great. Yay.
Thank you.
It's been a long time.
That's good. Yeah, a very long time. That's great. All right, any updates from commission members?
No, I'll just add, I should have said before, so when we do the informational booths, if anybody is willing to help man those, we usually, when I did them last, we had 2 people. Staff is sometimes there, so with the new staff coming on board, that'd be great if that person's interested.
And if it's ever more than 2 people, let us know. 'Cause
Right.
we have to notice it. So I'd actually
Oh.
recommend just keeping it to 2.
Oh, okay. I think what we've done in the past too is we switch though.
You can switch it.
Yeah,
now.
we
That's
switch.
fine.
So if it is a long, like the farmer's market, that's a good couple hours.
Yeah.
So it was
You-
Taste of Louisville. So if anybody else,
You just can't make eye contact. as you-
Right.
try. I'll step away from the booth. But right, so if anybody else is interested in helping, with Taste of Louisville or the farmers markets, that'd be nice to have other people. It's nice public facing. So, yeah.
Are you in Talbot doing the 14th?
I can do the 14th. I can't be there at the Taste of Louisville on the 7th, so I'm happy to do the 14th.
Because I wonder if we, I don't know if Talbot wants to do the 14th after having done,
Probably
if we want to
not,
spread it out a little bit, we might want to go ahead and get someone to volunteer for the 14th.
Right, again, even 2 volunteers maybe.
We also don't
so-
have everyone tonight. So
Is that something, just in terms of open meeting and communications, can we, is there a way I can kind of send out those dates and people can respond if they're interested, or maybe staff can do that?
Yeah, why doesn't staff do it just to be safe? So if you just want to send us the
Sure.
information you're looking for, then we'll get the information for you.
Okay, great, thank you.
I know it sounds extreme, but
No.
I've got the city attorney.
because August, we have some time to figure out as far as like manning the August, but
Right.
June is going to come up pretty quick.
Right, and those are pretty
So
close together,
I just figure
so-
if we can go ahead and send out, if anyone wants to, then we can have that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you.
Rob, does that rule of no more than 2 together for an event include the staff member, or that would be 2 committee members, and if staff shows up for a while, it's okay then to have 3 people?
Yeah, it's just the commission members, so
Okay.
if staff's there, it isn't breaking the rule.
Okay. And I appreciate what you're saying, Chair Haley, that I would rather not do the 7th and the 14th. I'm available if necessary. I'll make myself available. I can do it, but I have agreed at least to do the fall farmer, or the later on, what is it, August something, Chrissy, the second farmer's market?
August 23rd.
August 23rd, yeah. So, but I will do, if we get stuck, I'm fine with doing the 14th as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It is, I think it is a fun thing to do, to kind of be forward-facing and talk with the community, and there's, people really interested, so it's absolutely fine for people to rotate through also, for those long days, so.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
So should we ask staff, how many hours is it total?
I need to verify, the booth is there the duration of these events, so.
Right.
They're both a good couple hours, 5 or so hours.
Right.
So.
So we might even have like 2 shifts
slots.
per day. And someone could stay all day if they want, or we can break it up, so.
Long time to stand,
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So. Yeah.
Okay, so Emily, Talbot and I will be in communication with you about that.
Isn't Taste of Louisville like all day? Like it's not like farmer's market, it's like a whole day festival, isn't it?
Do you know, Rob, because the other tents, because the morning's
Do I?
the race, so the morning's kind of,
Okay.
I feel like,
Yeah, farmer's like a half a day, but Taste of Louisville seems like it's like a,
Yeah, it is. I don't know how long we're planning to have the booths out front of City Hall
Oh,
that
okay.
we'd be participating in, but we'll find out and then figure out how you want to schedule it. I'm thinking probably no more than 2-hour shifts if possible. If it's more than 4 hours, maybe we can try to break it up into even more than 2 shifts. So I think we could figure that out and then, try to get names filled into the openings. We'll
Yeah.
coordinate with you all on that.
okay.
and just out of curiosity, what are the other city booths that will be there?
What's our competition?
Yeah. Good question. I think there's maybe up to 5. I know sustainability was going to be there. Maybe there was going to be a Parks and Rec, police. Can't remember the other one. Yeah.
Okay,
That's good.
yeah.
Yep. So I think we were going to be just out here filling the space in City Hall here with the city booths.
Yeah.
I think we were going to try to get some games to attract people to the
Okay.
plaza too. Somebody had mentioned Big Connect 4 or something, I think.
Yeah,
That's good. All right.
be good.
Any other updates from anyone? All right. Our last item is to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Talbot, for being here.
Sure.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
Recording stopped.